Hey guys, we are back with more shenanigans. I know you see the title of the video and you can see these first couple cards starting off. I promise it works, it's funny, and it performs. I went X-1 at my locals with this, and it was hilarious seeing the faces of people once they realized what I was playing. So I promise it's both funny and it works. So I'm just gonna get into it, and you'll just trust it works. So first and foremost, the first engine we are playing in this is the Bystial deck. So we play the 2 Lubellion, and then a lot of names: 3 Magnamut, 3 Druid's Worm, and 2 Saronir. We're almost maxing out here. I actually originally was maxing out, but I had to cut 1 Saronir and 1 Lubellion to make room for Droplet, which you'll see later on. And that's just because Droplet is just too good. It helps you break boards, and this deck primarily wants to go second, so you just need stuff to be able to make your job easier whenever you do this. The Bystial engine actually does let you go first, because you do accompany this with the 1 Branded Beast and the 1 Branded Regained. I was originally playing 2 of this as well, because 2 of these allows you to recur the one you lost if one of them gets milled to the grave, or if both of these end up in grave, you still have one of these left in the deck that you can set, and you can just slowly start recurring these. That does help you in the grind game, so I sacrificed a little bit of grind game for that, but it ended up working out anyway. And there were situations where I needed it and where I did miss it, but the Droplet came up much more, so I am glad that I made that cut. But that is what is there for the Bystial engine. And I mean, the Bystials speak for themselves. They're just too good this format. So honestly, there were some situations where I did miss the 3rd Saronir where I could see them more. But I digress. The Branded engine that we are playing in this, it's kind of small. It's just 3 Keeper of Dragon Magic, 2 Fallen of Albaz, and 3 Branded Fusion. The reason we're only doing these, we're not doing any Despias, it's just because you don't really need it. And the reason we do Keeper of Dragon Magic instead of something like Aliber or Spriggan's Kit is because although it does cost you a card to discard to the grave, a lot of the times you don't necessarily mind that, because with a lot of cards in your hands, you can discard Lubellion to the hand, you can pitch a card you don't need, like Branded Regain, which is supposed to be in the grave anyway, to be able to come back from Branded Beast. You can pitch a Saronir so you can foolish the Branded Regained anyway. A lot of times it just doesn't end up mattering. And then there's also the play with Keeper of Dragon Magic where you can reveal Alba Lenitus or Chimeratech Fortress Dragon in your extra deck, and you can reset Fallen of Albaz or one of your Cyber Dragon monsters in the grave, and then you can be able to do shenanigans with that. You can contact fuse away a board of Bystials with Fallen of Albaz. You can threaten your opponent's board with Clockwork Night to be able to fuse off their board with Cyber Dragons. There are a lot more scenarios that come up for you with Keeper of Dragon Magic just to be able to threaten your opponent's board with it than there are for if you were to play an engine like Aliber. So I do recommend going with the Keeper of Dragon Magic. Came up for me a couple times today, and it just ended up working out. So that is the Branded package that we were playing with that. And now my favorite part of this, and it is so good to have these cards returned to a deck of mine. One of the MVPs of this entire strategy, the Cyber Dragon package, the 1 Vanilla Cyber Dragon, 3 core, just the 1 Hers, the 1 Noxter, the 1 Cyber Dark Chimera, accompanied with the 3 Cyber Emergency, the 1 Cyber Dark Realm, and the 1 Power Bond. This was so good today. It was a lot of Branded Fusion, branded package for me in addition to the Bystials, but when this came up, it's so good. I missed playing these cards so much, and it paid off today. It was so satisfying. I could harp about that forever, but basically this is just your main OTK punch your opponent to death combo. You core into the Cyber Dark Realm into the Chimera effect, pitch another spell or trap, get into the Power Bond, sometimes link into Seeger if you need it, and then just Power Bond, make the Rampage, and then just absolutely ruin your opponent's day. This isn't part of the Cyber Engine, but this is one of the reasons why the Cyber Engine is so good. We do play the 3 Clockwork Night, and for those of you that know what this card does, you know where I'm going with this. But for those of you who have never seen this card before, first and foremost, this card says, all face-up monsters on the field become machines. Let me remind you of a little card that I'm sure you're already aware of, but for those of you who either live under a rock or have just never seen it, we play a card in the extra deck called Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon, whose materials are Cyber Dragon and one or more machine monster, and this is summoned via contact fusion. And it says that you can use materials from either field. So you contact fuse Cyber Dragon, which all of these, except for this one, are Cyber Dragon on the field and engrave. And then this turns everything into machines. So if one of these stick on the board, your opponent loses their entire board if this is up. And it's just glory. I did this today. My opponent had 6 monsters on board. 1 in the EMZ and 5 in their main monster zone. Activate Clockwork Night. Okay, good. Special Cyber Dragon. Response? No? Okay, contact fuse away your entire board. And this thing came out as a 7,500 beater and almost won me the game itself, but I had the rest of the cards to be able to close it out. It was hilarious. I contact fused away 6 opponents' monsters because of this. This card is so good and it is so funny. I'm so glad I was able to do that because it was just glorious. Like please play that. Do not underestimate what this card is and what it does. It's so good, and it's just like I miss the Cyber Dragon cards and the Cyber Dragon package so much. I'm so glad I was able to bring it back. And the only other cards I'm playing in here, like I said, I made room for the Droplet. This came up all the time today. It's too good. And the last 2 cards we're playing are 2 pot for consistency. You're only playing the 2 because you don't want to draw multiples of these, and you're only ever resolving this once because you do have flexibility in the extra deck, but you can't afford to resolve pot twice because then you're just out of resources with a lot of your engines. So, like, you don't have the room for 3 pot because 2 of these is enough of a consistency boost, and this card was the MVP today as well. I resolved this card I don't know how many times, and it dug me the card I needed pretty much every single time. So, like, it does add a much-needed... This deck is already pretty consistent, but this helps you see other pieces of your engine that just help put the cherry on top. So, like, I do recommend playing it, but you're only ever resolving that card once, and don't attempt to resolve it more than once because it's just not going to go well for you. But that is the main deck. On to the extra deck. Something I originally wasn't playing at first, I did find room for Dark the Dark Charmer. This actually never came up for me today. There were situations where it would have been handy, but just how the board state ended up, I just go into my regular fusion engines regardless. But I had this in here just because, I mean, this is a format with Bystials, so link it off with a Bystial, maybe a Druid's Worm. Get into this, Druid's Worm, send something from the opponent's field, effect, revive your opponent's Magnamut so that you can get another one in the end phase. It just comes up all the time in this format, so it was too good to pass up. But it never actually ended up coming up for me, but just knowing I had it as a good option was enough. I'm considering swapping this out for maybe a Wallow, because that could also come up, but again, like, yeah, you could just end up in situations where it doesn't come up, so maybe I would just switch this out for extra engine cards for some of my other stuff. It's just something you can think about and something I'm going to think about. The stuff for the Cyber package, the 1 Seeger to help with the OTKs whenever you're not locked into fusions, or just in a turn you're not going to resolve Branded Fusion, or activate Branded Fusion, rather. Double Fortress, 2 of them's going to come up either with Prosperity or with Clockwork Night. Just the fact that you're able to threaten your opponent's entire monster board with Clockwork Night constantly, it's too powerful not to be able to have multiples of these to be able to clear your opponent's boards multiple times. The 1 Mega Fleet, I was originally playing 2, but I had to, but I made room for the Dark was originally a second copy of Mega Fleet, but I decided to make the room for the Dark just in case it came up. Like, this is, as soon as your opponent knows you're on Cyber Dragon, they're only ever maybe going to play into this one time, so, like, having multiples of these usually doesn't come up. So I just figured having the dark would be better, but it still comes up all the time, so at least play the 1. Double Chimera Tech Rampage. This is what's gonna enable you to be able to do your OTKs. I usually ended up prosperitying away the other one just to still have the 1, but the second one didn't come up. You do play 2 of these because even though you only play the 1 power bond, you are able to Branded Fusion into Albion or Lubellion, and then you can either banish or shuffle back the materials and make a second one. That's handy for either popping back row or to just help OTK again if you're able to go into a second one, and that's what gets you over the threshold to go for game. So 2 of these does come up. It didn't come up for me today because that's really more so a grind game or like a turn 3 or turn 4 type of situation. But just knowing I had 2 of them was like, if you need the second one to go for game, it ends up coming up. And if not, it's an easy prosperity target that you can get rid of if you just don't need it. So those were the cyber monsters in there. And then the rest of these are just the everything that comes with the branded package. 2 Albulenitis, actually, and one of them is the Starlight Rare that, shout out to Joseph for getting that to me. Had to pair a regular Seeker with it, unfortunately, because obviously I don't have a second Starlight Rare, but this is just beautiful. I was able to use this a couple times today for a few different things, but there is a reason you play 2. 1 is because you send one of them off of Mirror Jade. 2 is because if you send the one off of Mirror Jade, you can still have one in your extra deck to do the Keeper of Dragon Magic play, where you reveal this, reset Albaz, and then you can use Albaz to contact fuse away your opponent's board. If you're just playing against a Dragon deck, for example, we had a Dragon Link player there today. I didn't go up against him, but it's just a free win against Dragons because you can contact fuse away their entire board. But also because the Bystials are so popular, you can use having this in your extra deck. Just have an Albaz stick on the board, even if you just have to set it face down, and you contact fuse away all their Bystials. Which, like, sure, they get to trigger a Druid's Worm, but you can trade, like, 1, 2, maybe even 3 Bystials for 1 Albaz, and then all you're losing is an Albulenitis, which gets you a Branded Fusion in the end phase for follow-up anyway. So, like, just having multiples of those to be able to send one to search a Branded Fusion and then to have another one to threaten a Dragon board, that actually is important and can come up. Didn't come up for me because I never got to that point in the grind game, but knowing I had that option was nice. I thought about this being other stuff. I even considered Cyber Twin Dragon at another point, just in case that ever came up for me to go for game. But in theory and in testing, the second Albulenitis came up more so than the Cyber Twin, which is why I did that. And then, I don't know, this could also be a Wallow or another copy of Mega Fleet, but I just had 2 of them there in case that came up, and it worked out. And then the standard stuff for Branded, 3 Albion, 1 Lubellion, and the 2 Mirror Jade. You're only doing the 1 Lubellion because there's no Despia cards in here, so like you're not sending a Tragedy from deck to grave and then resolving that. Like the main one you're gonna be fusing into is Albion because you're sending stuff like Cyber Dragon Hers or Bystial Lubellion to be able to do into that. Like this is still important because it shuffles your resources back, but you're only ever going into this usually after Albion, which is why you don't need the second one. Because if they're gonna stop a fusion, they're gonna stop this one. Like there's no point in holding an Imperm or something like that, for example, for this. So you're always gonna be able to go into you're gonna be able to resolve it and go into this, so you'll be fine. And you only need the 1. 2 Mirror Jade is self-explanatory. 3 of these comes up all the time. I guarantee you're going to need 3 of them. If nothing else, you can Pot of Prosperity away 1 of them. I was hesitant to do that. I had to do that a lot today, but I was hesitant to do it because 3 of them came up all the time. You use 1 of them to fusion. You're usually sending 1 off of Mirror Jade, and then you need the 3rd one to fusion. And then if that doesn't work, you're just dead in the water because then your Branded Fusion is dead and you can't resolve it. And it sucks, but oh well. Just 3 of them comes up, so just play that and yeah, you'll be fine. I can show you side deck, but this section is always just make of your side deck what you will for whatever your local looks like or whatever your event is going to be. I cited this in once today, but didn't see it, so it didn't really end up coming up. I am playing the 3 Dogwood. I don't want to. I hate playing time cards because I would rather this be anything else that would be useful. Another board breaker, hand traps that are useful in certain matchups. But this format is just dog shit with how the Yu-Gi-Oh time rules are. They're bad. Yu-Gi-Oh time rules suck. So you gotta play a card for time in this format. Like the tier matchup I had today went to time, so I had to put this in. Thankfully, it didn't end up coming up, but you have to do this because if it goes to time, you need a time card. Much as I don't want to play it. Back row hate because this deck can't struggle with that. 3 Cosmic and 3 Lightning Storm. We did these because, well, Lightning Storm's self-explanatory, just clear back row for free. But we did Cosmic because of Runic. There's been a couple Runic players at my local on and off. So I did the Cosmic for that because it's Runic, and they're always going to have a way to protect it from being destroyed by card effect rather than banished. So that's one main reason I did that. And then the other reason is just because Cosmic is chainable. Like if they activate a floodgate and I'm able to chain it to that, or they activate a field spell that adds or is important, and then I can put this in going first. And this actually helped me against a Labyrinth player. This is the first time I saw a Labyrinth player in bracket today, and that ended up coming up for to help break their back row, which was nice. And the other ones I put in were some going first options. I decided to go with Ice Dragon's Prison and Old Man Say No. Self-explanatory, nice board breaker you had, be a shame if it didn't resolve. And I went with IDP just because I think it seems really good, this format. There's some Splight in my local, so like steal one of them out the grave for whatever they target and they don't get it, and then maybe banish another, but if not, just yoink their target. And then tier, just steal one of them out the grave, banish that in another tier on field, just good value. And just like generic good going first option. I didn't go with anything like a Floodgate because like there's not really floodgates that are that beneficial to me. There's a few that you can kind of play around, but it's more beneficial for you just to have all of your engines. So that's why I did what I did with that. And that is what I got for you today. I know it seems weird, but it performed. I went X-1 with it, so was happy to do that, and just more than anything, happy I could play the Cyber Dragon cards again and have them work out. Like it was great, and I loved doing it. That's all I got for you. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good rest of the day.